Today we have Haroon Rashid, and he is a world-famous author. He received Golden Eagle Award for Literary Excellence from South America, an honorary award in excellence in literature and arts on the occasion of the 59th year of independence for Trinidad and Tobago, and was invited to be a speaker at Third International Congress of Education, Designing the Future, Mexico, North America. He received worldwide recognition, love, and fame, and has also been called to famous interview shows, including Oprah Winfrey Show, and still continuing. His works are translated into more than 148 languages. Every writer is different, but he is one of those who can touch souls with even simplest expression of words. Hello, Rashid. Mr. Rashid, how are you doing today? I'm glad to have you on the program. So how do you feel that literature and the arts can help us bring hope and keep spirits high during these times like, such as now, where we have so much, darkness and frustration and fear?
Literature, art is all coming through the heart. So whatever comes from the heart is always a hope. And we can have regular jobs. Regular jobs bring us regular dimensions, but when there's no regularity in our lives, so we somehow get into depression, somehow get into the dark phases of our lives. So literature, art, philosophy is just another light that makes us to glow in our darkness, that makes us ignite our own sparks. So this is how literature is bringing new hopes and new dimensions to our lives, where we are just looking up instead of looking down.
That's very true. It's something that, when you bring out the, the human spirit and display it in front of the, the world. And I think that definitely is something that the arts can help people more realize themselves in a more positive light than those things.
Yeah. When we have to see our own journey of lives from the primitive stages. So it was the art that manifested our journey into our lives, the discovery of wheel, the discovery of fire, and also when we look into the history of mankind, all the inscriptions were in the art form, and some written form was also available. What stays is the truth. So truth is the art, and truth is the heart. Like the persons who win Nobel Prizes or other prizes, or bring some charitable works to the society, that is something the truth, and that's going to stay forever. Whether it comes from the social media, whether it comes from the regular media, it will always be the truth and will stay forever. So art is like that, and heart is like that.
Speaking of prizes and awards and things of that nature, you've been given quite a few honors. Can you tell us a little bit about the some of these honors you've received and how that felt for you to be granted those honors?
Yeah, honors and awards are just a kind of something, a kind of charm on your life. Like what you do, you get recognized for that. But on the longer run, the writers that I read are something, if I have to sum up it like that, the makers of Taj Mahal was never given an award. So they are still being recognized all over the world. Like Taj Mahal is known all over the world. So the same way, we should do works according to, like, be a part of contribution to the country, nation, world, so that whoever, whatever connects to us feels the same in themselves. So this is the award which is the best award that we can get from all the people around. The other awards that we get is just our own kind of recognition. Is when you're too good in your work, then all the organization institutions just come up to give their heart to you, and that heart is in the form of the awards only.
Right. I think, yeah, it's definitely, you don't write just, to be recognized necessarily. And it is true that when you put your heart into something and you get really deeply involved with it, and you start to see that other people will notice that and come to you and be willing to bestow some sort of recognition or honor to you for your passion And I think that's definitely true. I mean, I think you're definitely right on that. That it's something that you don't necessarily do it for those reasons, but it definitely happens that people come to you and recognize when you're, when you're putting your heart out there and your passion out there. So do you remember when you first had, received a recognition, international recognition of some kind, and how was there like a, how did you feel? I mean, how did that feel to hear that you had been recognized for something?
I have been writing all the poetries. For me, it's I am writing I'm touching those topics which are being neglected by all the people around, be it writers, be it otherwise. When I see people in pain and nobody is going hands to them, then I know that I'm just an individual. But what I can do in a larger way is I can bring out the powerful thing in me, that is pen. So I write down, and then magazines or publications, publish it. So readers read it, and then they feel themselves in it. Like I have written a suicide poem, which a lot of people who were, into that kind of depressions, they read and they felt that they are not going to take that drastic step in their lives. So this is something that moves me to write. And, when I got to write all this, certainly step by step, from local to national, then national to international, I got. So I remember there were around 70 to 80,000 people messaging me. And then there are some people like Oprah Winfrey, like directors of my film industry. They message me, then actors, actresses of different countries, which I was not knowing the names before, because the world is too big. So we are somewhere in our own lives, we don't know. So that is the time I got this international recognition. And then afterwards, it's the journey that I have to go through, and I'm going through well enough with receiving the blessings and the love from all the people around.
So, Oprah Winfrey show, invited you for an interview. What are some interviews you have done other than this one that have been interesting to you? And what sort of questions have you been asked that, you found intriguing?
I think all the interviews are amazing, because every time you face a new human, like I have a quote, every person is a story and has a story. So whenever I meet a new person, he or she brings a new dimension to me. Like you're asking me some questions, and I am feeling like there's so much to explore. There's so much to say. There's so much to hear out. So every person is amazing in its own way, and I feel lucky to interact. And this writing is making me to interact with all the people who have done so much great in their lives. And when I see them, I see myself in them. And then this is how the magic happens.
Absolutely. There's sort of alchemy going on, in between people and different conversations. And it's really interesting to see what kind of subject matter. I mean, you mentioned earlier, when you see people suffering or something of that nature, and you feel compelled to write to bring attention to that problem. What sort of subject matter do you choose to write about in your poetry? Do you find that recurs often in your work?
I think writers or the creative persons in this world brings a new dimension to the world, whereby they touch those topics which are in all of us, but we are not able to, look beyond bread and butter, like the economic terms or the financial terms or maybe the livelihood of our lives. So we get stuck into that. But when that stuck or that livelihood is in a prolonged way and it seems like a stagnation, then we start to discover something in us that where are we going in our lives? Is it what we have to go through all the way? Is this infrastructure that's going to make me feel the charm of the life? Or is it this that I have to do rest of the life? So these are the things that makes a human to question their own journey, and they don't find answers around. They ask the relatives, friends, family, everyone that is in physical form in front of them. When they don't get the answer, they look for the writers' perspectives. So a writer is something which has a very wide and broadened perspectives, and they write it so that people who are suffering should get aid in their life. Like if we see that people who are in love, when they are not able to express, so they look for the songs or maybe the poetry, which is romantic songs or maybe romantic poetry, so to express their lover, the love they have inside. So every time, these are the aspects which people want to express or people want to hear out, but they don't have, and writer are being blessed by nature to do that. So I think this is the blessing that I have, and I feel more blessed when certain people kind of resonate with them.
That's interesting. So, do you think the phrase "writer's block"? Do you believe in that, or do you think that that's something that's invented? That there's a way to overcome, or is there some kind of? Do you think there's an external inspiration that sort of passes down to the author to write, or how does that work for you?
See, there are two kind of people. One who are naturally blessed, the others who feel like that they are doing certain things and they are that. The ones who are naturally blessed, they never have any kind of blocks, because it's the nature who has chosen them, and it's the nature that's going to give them the thoughts, the feelings, the beliefs, and then it's the nature who's going to make them, go from this place to that place, and it's the nature who is going to protect it. In that case, no blockage will come, because it's the nature who guides it. In the other case, whereby a person feels like, if there's a singer who sings naturally and there's a person who feels like singing, so who feels like doing things but is not blessed naturally, somehow, some way will have that blockade in their minds or maybe in their journey.
So when you personally, if you ever come across a moment when you don't have anything to write about, how do you occupy your time?
I don't think I have ever got that time, because every time there's something to write upon, I ask the nature, give me spare time where I can, other than writing, should do something, because it's so much coming up that I have, I feel certainly blessed, but every blessing is something where you need certain time to enjoy your own life. So I enjoy my life doing, I go to gym, I read a lot, I, do all those stuffs which are being referred as good food to mind, good food to soul, good food to body. So I do that sort of works.
And speaking of reading, who are some of your favorite authors of antiquity and the classical canon, I guess you could call it, that you enjoy reading the most?
Yeah, I read almost every kind of writer from the ancient perspective, because there are so many writers around the world, modern, ancient, and all. So till now, a lot of people have reflected me as some of the writers. Like when they read my writings, they sense out that I am a second of them. So I got inspired to read them, and I got to read them. Like there's a writer, Rumi, then P.B. Shelley, then Aristotle, Plato, Socrates. Then there's so many. I'm reading right now Western philosophy, and because right now a lot of my works are coming into Greece, so I am reading the Greece literature also. So it's always amazing to read certain kind of people who were so much time ahead of us, that because of them we have all the civilizations, because of them we have all the systems, be it bureaucracy, be it administration, politics, all has been crafted by writers. They have written about that our system should be like this, and our systems got established. So writers are always a blessings, not to their own lives, but all the lives that are associated with whole world.
How do you think the arts, writing and specifically, how does philosophy and writing itself, and like in poetry and literature, how do those two coalesce together? How do you think they meet, and then in what ways do you think they meet best?
Like I have understood and I have written a quote, your practicality is philosophy to someone, and someone's philosophy is practicality to you.
Hmm.
So we go through like that way. So whenever someone, who's not able to live a certain kind of life of someone, so they say that it's a philosophy of them, and it just looks good in that on that sense. But it's like when we are not able to do something in a practical manner because of our own incapacities, we term it as philosophy. But when we are able to cherish it, it becomes the practicality. So every philosophy somewhere is practicality, and we should go through, understand it, like Wright brothers invented aeroplane.
Hmm.
So all the people around them at that point of time were considering them as a mad person or maybe philosophers who were just believing on something which is not going to happen. They made it happen, and that philosophy or that ideology turned into practicality. And now we roam from this country to that country in just few minutes or maybe few hours or few whatever. So this is how happens,
Hmm.
and we should look from this lens only.
It's an interesting idea, the thought that, that each person comes from a specific perspective or angle in life, and that, I may have something to say that perhaps, you would, on the same subject, you would have something completely different to say, and to each other, our views would be very different. And you would think, maybe, listening to me, you would be like, wow, that's an interesting perspective. But to me, it's just like what's presented to me in life. So do
Yeah.
you think, when it comes to philosophy, that there's a practical merit to that, to philosophy itself from that angle?
There's a hierarchy of all the systems in the world. So nature knows which person is assigned what role, and then nature gives the thought to them accordingly. So nobody is right, nobody is wrong. It's the nature which is right, and it is the nature which decides what is going to be the right for this moment. Like when I read Rumi, when I read this Western philosophy and other philosophies,
Mhm.
those philosophies stands true and apt for this present system, maybe of second century. But at that time, second century, those philosophies or ideologies were just like looked upon as theses or maybe researches. So nature knows at what time what is gonna stand amazingly. So we are just playing our own roles which nature has bestowed upon us. And when we do that, and when we understand this from this perspective, then all the insecurities, jealousies, hatred just diminishes. But what happens? People are not able to understand that it is the nature who has bestowed us with all the qualities in this life.
Hmm.
So they just kind of, instead of thanking the nature, wants to just placard the other person who is growing in their lives. So we all are nothing without nature. This is an ultimate truth, and whatever we are in our lives is just because of the nature. If nature doesn't want us, we are already dead. We are alive because nature wants, and nature knows that we have a purpose to complete.
Hmm. That's very interesting. That, and I really like the way you phrase things in a way that's it's very deeply philosophical and universal. Where do you think that perspective comes from?
Nature.
Nah,
It
there we go.
just comes from
I figured you'd say that. Almost certain you were going to say that.
nature.
Yeah.
Because nature inserted
Mhm.
that thing in you to ask me, and nature wants that nature should be praised. So we should all thank nature that we all are alive in this
Mhm.
drastic moments, and we should always pray for each and every human in this life, because we
Mhm.
all are strangers at some point, and we all are gonna meet for just fractions of seconds or minutes or days, and then we have to depart. So we all are lucky that we all are having this conversation, or we are
Right.
able to see each other. So it's beauty of nature.
Absolutely. And after this dark moment we're facing in, and that this humanity is facing right now, this very difficult and trying era of COVID and all the things going on in the world right now. What do you think comes next? Where do we go from there?
I think it's a testing time of all of us. Like earlier civilizations faced the testing times,
Mm-hmm.
then they moved downwards, and then all of a sudden they moved upwards.
Mm-hmm.
The same way we are going through that journey only. Our lives are telling us that we are going down, but then after this pandemic, after all the realizations that we are gonna realize, we will all be just one. So when we'll all be one, we'll automatically rise. So this
Mm-hmm.
is what is gonna happen next.
Excellent. Would you like to share a couple of poems with us?
I will read the quote that is what is gonna inspire all of us, and that inspires me all the time. So it is like we all are paying the price for the lives we are living, and the price is preparation. Without preparation in our chosen works, we are wasting ourselves as dust of fuel rather than being the fuel.
We had a couple of nice comments from Eva. Proud of you, she says. Eva Petropoulou, Lianou, and also another person. Congratulations, author Haroon Rashid. Thank you so much, guys, for participating in our program today. So, when you write, I mean, do you feel like there's like something moving through you to write, or do you feel like it's more conscious and compelled from yourself?
Yes, whenever I write something and then afterwards when I look upon it, I certainly feel like a reader, because sometimes somehow I have felt that, like I believe in nature has chosen us. So I feel that nature has chosen a vessel, and it's putting all those things in it, and it's flowing that way. So this is something that keeps me away from arrogance, pride, and all those stuff, because whenever someone appreciates me, I don't take that appreciation to me, because I know it's the real appreciation is towards the nature, because it's nature and Almighty who has decided this to be a vessel and putting the thoughts in it, and that thoughts flow around. So I think it that ways, and this has kept me away from all the, you know, fake things that I consider fake things, like arrogance is fake, pride is fake. All this stuff is fake to me. The realness is love and the heart, which I get a lot. So yeah.
It's a beautiful perspective, and it's definitely good and wise to have a rational view of things like fame and arrogance, and things like those those subjects. It's like those are just secondary. You don't do anything just strictly for those means. Those are just things that come to you if you're doing something you love, and you happen to run across those kind of fame. If some fame comes to you when you're in the process of doing whatever you do best and love to do, I think it's something that's definitely not a good means to an end. It's just what happens if you're doing what you enjoy. Thank you for our commentary here from Dayanhita Patra. Congratulations, he says. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all the beautiful people who are saying great things. My best wishes to you, and keep smiling, keep rising.
Thank you. Yes, definitely. Yeah, just keep the hope going, and keep the spirit going. So you mentioned, when you read your work, when you go back after writing it and you read it, you feel like you're a reader rather than a writer, rather than the author necessarily. How do you define that? How do you differentiate between a person reading or writing and actually writing it?
I have a quote that when a writer writes, a reader should feel like he is or she is reading themselves instead of reading the writer. Mm-hmm. So that is something, makes me to have the reader's perspective, because when I have that perspective, then only I can understand what a reader wants to feel. Like if I will write something which is not expressed or felt by a reader, they will never ever be, correlate or resonate with it. I write what all the people feel, because we all bleed red, we all feel love, we all hate the hatred. So these are the very basic things that we know, and certainly every emotion is so much variated now that different subjects have came up, like psychology, sociology, all these subjects just came up because there's so much in our emotions. So there are so much variety in emotions that every time I find a new emotion that not only invokes me, but also evokes the reader who reads it.
Interesting. So, what do you think, if you had to pick like a universal emotion or, instinct that leads people to write and to commit to the arts, what would you say that would be?
People should write what nature is going to bless them instead of going here or going there, or creating the stereotypical things that is already there. They should just focus on what is coming to them, instead feeling like because this is in the trend and we should do this. Trends change, emotions change, time change. What stays is nature. So realize your own nature to go to the future.
Interesting. How would you define nature? Is it, is there some sort of like a harmony, or how would you define when you say nature? What do you mean exactly?
Nature means whether we are there or we are not there, it's going to stay. So what is going to stay is permanent, and what is permanent is nature.
Interesting.
Like I will add one point more.
Mm-hmm.
We are not known by the things we wear. We are not known by the hairstyle or maybe the ornaments we wear. We are known by the behavior, and behavior is our nature. So our nature stays. How you gonna make me feel, how I gonna make you feel, that will stay afterwards. How I'm looking right now, how you're looking right now, this will stay for the show only. So our nature is gonna be taken forward. Our nature is permanent. So this is how it happens.
True. That's very true. I think that's an excellent way of looking at it. Something's more permanent to us is definitely comes from the heart, as we said at the beginning of the show. And when we talked about from the heart, the truth and importance of the matters of the spirit and the human heart, definitely true.
Yeah.
So, is there any last words you'd like to share with the audience as we close out the interview?
I think audience know all the things, but they want to hear about themselves now. So thank you for all the love, all the blessings, all the prayers that you not only give to yourself, but to the parents, those who are there still in your life, or those who have left the earth. And also I would like to add one point, like we see people from different angles, or maybe like if there are dimensions like caste, greed, sex, gender, all. I will just say that look for the human in them. You will feel the love. And when you will look for the human in them, you will automatically see the blessings around them, like the bulb, the aeroplane, the phone. All these are being created by those persons who have never looked external or tangible aspects of the humans. They have only looked at how their contributions are going to help the rest of the humans that are going to come to the life or in the next generations. So if you will look like that, you will contribute like that. So contribute best, stay best, keep amazing, stay amazing, and my best wishes, always rock.
Thank you so much. Do you have any shout outs or thank yous you'd like to share with friends, family, anybody out there that would you would like to just say thank you for their support?
Yeah, I would say thank you to all, because all are kind of my family. We all are just one. If we look like how we have came here, we just came from Adam and Eve. So we all are family. So my shout out to everyone around, and keep praying, keep spreading love, and your love will make us all feel above.
Well, thank you so much for joining the show today, Haroon. It's been very pleasant.